Okay, so are you ready to dive into a match that had me at the edge of my seat?
Always up for a good deep dive, especially when it involves a nail biter like this India-Australia clash in the Women's T20 World Cup.
Seriously. This one had everything. Drama, tension, you name it. But to really unpack it, let's start with where it all went down. Sharjah Cricket Stadium. Expert, you know I'm not usually one for overhyping the venue, but Sharjah, it's different, right? What's the deal with this place?
Oh, Sharjah is notorious, and for good reason. See, most grounds, you've got an idea of what to expect. But Sharjah, it's like this wild card, especially for batters.
Oh, so you're saying it's not exactly a batter's paradise.
Let's just say if you're a batter who loves those high-scoring, fast-paced innings, Sharjah is going to make you work for every run. It's those pitches.
They're like concrete blocks.
Not quite, but close. They're drier, they offer more turn, a nightmare for anyone wanting to just smash boundaries from the get-go. It's a spin bowler's dream come true.
So basically the opposite of what we saw in those high-scoring encounters earlier in the tournament in Dubai.
Exactly. And that's what makes this match so intriguing. You've got these two powerhouses, India known for their aggressive batting, Australia, well, they're Australia, always a force to be reckoned with. And suddenly they're thrown this curveball, this Sharjah pitch that demands a complete shift in strategy.
Talk about pressure. As if playing in a World Cup wasn't enough, now they've got this added element of unpredictability.
Right, and if that wasn't enough, both teams walked in with their fair share of woes, injury woes to be precise.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, this isn't just a case of a few niggles here and there.
Not at all. We're talking key players ruled out, big blows to both sides. But for Australia, it was next level.
Let me guess. Key bowlers injured, putting their whole attack in jeopardy.
Even bigger. Imagine this. Both their captain and vice captain were out. Sidelined, gone. This meant Talia McGrath, not even in the captaincy roles usually, suddenly found herself leading the team in a crucial World Cup match.
Talk about being thrown in the deep end. Leading your country is one thing, but doing it unexpectedly in a must-win game against India at Sharjah. I wouldn't want to be in her shoes.
No kidding. The pressure was immense, but you know what? Credit where it's due. McGrath handled it like a pro. Composed, calm, you wouldn't have guessed she was thrown into the situation. But let's be real, the pressure was on from the moment Australia won the toss and chose to bat first. You can just sense it, this feeling of, okay, how are they going to handle this?
Mm. Yeah, it was definitely a batting first at Sharjah's kind of vibe. Did they succumb to the pressure or rise to the occasion? Well, let's just say their innings was a bit of a roller coaster, two halves of a completely different story. The Aussies, they like to come out swinging, right? Aggressive, dominant, but these early wickets, it shook them.
Yeah, that run out was particularly rough. Really seemed to deflate them.
Absolutely. See, Australia's strength is their depth, their ability to bat deep and score quickly. But Sharjah, it makes you rethink your whole game plan. They were on the back foot right from the start. So instead of their usual fireworks, it was more like a damp squib.
Pretty much. They were cautious, almost hesitant. It was like the pressure, the weight of expectation, that Sharjah mystique, it all just got to them.
It's like they say cricket's a game of inches, but it's also a game played between the ears.
100%.
Mhm.
And that's when two players really stepped up for Australia. Grace Harris, known for her big hitting, and of course, our stand-in skipper, Talia McGrath.
They seemed to steady the ship a bit, right? Like that partnership was crucial.
Absolutely vital. It was fascinating to watch, though. McGrath, cool as a cucumber despite the pressure cooker she was in, focused on rotating the strike, picking up those singles, keeping the scoreboard ticking. Harris, on the other hand, well, she's known for her fireworks, but even she had to rein it in a bit at Sharjah.
You're right. It wasn't the typical Grace Harris show we're used to.
Exactly. She still finished with a decent score, but her strike rate, how quickly she scores runs, it was way lower than usual. It showed real maturity, adapting her game to the conditions, building that partnership with McGrath.
It's easy to forget sometimes that cricket's not just about brute force. It's about strategy, about playing smart.
It's that awareness, that ability to shift gears when needed, that's crucial, especially in a pressure cooker like a World Cup match. And while Harris and McGrath steadied the ship for Australia, let's not forget about India's bowlers. They didn't just roll over.
Yeah, they fought back, kept asking questions, kept the pressure on.
Precisely. They never really let Australia run away with the game, and that's the hallmark of a good bowling unit, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And speaking of good bowling, how about Renuka Singh's spell? That was something else.
Oh, she was on fire. Those 2 wickets and 2 balls, talk about turning the tide.
The atmosphere must have been electric. Did you hear the crowd erupt? I mean, even through the TV, it was palpable.
Oh, without a doubt. And it wasn't just those two wickets, it was the way she bowled those overs, the line, the length, the movement she extracted from that Sharjah pitch. She had the Aussies on the ropes.
And let's not forget about Harmanpreet Kaur's captaincy, too. Those bowling changes were spot on.
Absolutely. She utilized her bowlers brilliantly, kept the Aussies guessing, never let them settle into a rhythm. Tactical masterclass, I'd say. But anyway, Australia finished at 152. Now, you might think, 152, that's not a huge target. But
That's like,
this is Sharjah we're talking about.
and it's a World Cup match, a must-win for India. The pressure was well and truly on.
Precisely. And to make things even more interesting, they needed to win by a decent margin to boost their net run rate, which could be crucial later in the tournament.
Okay, so for our listeners who might not be cricket gurus, break down this whole net run rate thing for us. Why is it so important?
Imagine it like this. It's not just about winning games, it's about winning convincingly. The bigger the margin of victory, the better your position in the tournament if teams are tied on points. It's a tiebreaker, essentially.
So, in a nutshell, India needed to win, and they needed to win big. How did they approach the chase?
Well, they went with a mix of caution and aggression. You had Shafali Verma, their firecracker opener, going all guns blazing.
She always gets the crowd going.
Doesn't she? But Australia, they struck back early, got rid of Mantana, and that's when you felt the pressure shift a bit.
Losing a key batter early in a chase, always a blow, especially in a high-stakes game like this. How did India recover?
Well, it was a bit of a roller coaster, to be honest. Kaur, the captain, came in and stabilized the innings with Rodriguez.
They make for an interesting pair, don't they? Kaur, the experienced campaigner, and Rodriguez, this young talent, fearless and raring to go.
It's a good blend of experience and youthful exuberance, and for a while, they had Australia worried. Runs were flowing, the crowd was right behind them. You could sense the momentum shifting,
Well,
but then,
don't tell me. Did they lose a wicket at a crucial juncture?
bingo. Rodriguez, she was looking dangerous, starting to really take on the bowling, and that's when Australia struck.
Ah, that's heartbreaking. She was really starting to build a good innings.
It was a real shame. You could tell she was starting to find her groove. Those momentum shifts, they can be brutal. 1 minute you're cruising, the next you're fighting to stay afloat.
And in a chase like this, every wicket just piles on the pressure.
Absolutely. And you could really see it, especially on Harmanpreet Kaur. Talk about carrying the weight of a nation on her shoulders, wickets falling around her, the required run rate climbing. It was a true captain's challenge.
But you know what I find incredible about her? She never gives up, does she?
Never. She's got this incredible fighting spirit, a never say die attitude that's just infectious. And it's not just about hitting big shots. Kaur, she's a smart cricketer. She paced her innings brilliantly, starting cautiously, rotating the strike, and then, when the time was right, she cut loose.
Those final few overs were something else. My heart was pounding out of my chest.
Yeah.
Did you feel that tension?
Oh, absolutely. It was electric. Every run was met with a roar, every dot ball felt like a mini heart attack, and just when you thought Kaur might pull off a miracle, it came down to the wire. The final over.
Don't remind me, I could barely watch.
And then, in a cruel twist of fate, Kaur run out on the penultimate ball. Just heartbreaking.
Sport at its most dramatic and, let's be honest, cruel.
It was a bitter pill to swallow for India, especially after such a valiant effort.
It really puts into perspective how much those early wickets hurt.
Absolutely. But let's not forget, India, they fought tooth and nail, they showed their mettle, and a lot of that comes down to Harmanpreet Kaur's leadership.
She's a true inspiration, and that's what makes this game so captivating. The twists, the turns, the moments of brilliance, the heartbreak. It's an emotional roller coaster, but that's why we love it, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself. And even in defeat, there are valuable lessons to be learned, moments of individual brilliance to celebrate, and a certain beauty in the sheer tenacity and sportsmanship displayed by these athletes. For me, this match was a testament to the unpredictable nature of cricket and the indomitable spirit of those who play it. And for our listeners, as we move on to the next thrilling encounter, I urge you to look beyond the scoreboard. Appreciate the individual battles, the tactical nuances, the moments of sheer brilliance, and yes, even the heartbreaks. It's these elements that come together to weave the rich tapestry of this beautiful game.